It's time to find out what you guys thought of this Trailblazers season. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Last night, I dropped my reaction to our preseason predictions, which was a fun little video. The day before, I dropped my seasonal recap with stream highlights, so if you haven't checked those out, feel free to. And in today's video, we have Blazers Pulse, which, if you're new to the channel and don't know what Blazers Pulse is, it's where I get the pulse of the fan base. I asked you guys some poll questions in the community section a couple of days ago, and I'm going to react to those poll results as well as some of the comments left on them. Pretty simple video. A lot of the stuff I asked was just stuff that I was curious about and I thought other people might find interesting to see poll results for, so that's what this video will be. With that being said, let's jump into it. The first poll question I asked was, how did this season leave you feeling about the Portland Trailblazers' future? 35% of you said it made you more excited, 40% of you were pessimistic, saying our future now looks bleaker, and 25% of you said that it didn't change anything for you. Now, this specific question I asked after the end of last season, and in that poll, 86% of people said that they were more excited for the future, and only 10% of people were pessimistic. Only 3% of people said it didn't change anything for them. So the responses to this year's poll is much more negative. It seems like fans are a lot more anxious going into this year's offseason than they were last year's offseason, and I'm curious why that is, because I think this team is set up in a position to actually make a splash. If you're feeling more negative about the Portland Trailblazers' future now than you were this time last year, let me know why down in the comment section below, because I'm wondering why that is truly the case. Comments for this poll, I have a comment from Murray, says, low-key, I'm kind of hyped. All Dame's talk about his situation in Portland combined with him having career numbers, we have a good lottery pick too, so I'm excited to see what's in store. Yeah, good lottery pick, good lottery odds. I mean, the excitement for the future would get ratcheted up by winning that draft lottery, of course, but I am curious why people are more negative, because I think, if anything, we're at least in a better spot going into this offseason to make something happen. Better lottery odds, better young core. We have Jeremy Grant now, so I'm not really understanding the pessimism. Shout out to Kawhi, who says, I'm just worried that Cronin and Jody will screw the Blazers over again, which is why I'm more on the pessimistic side. Excited to see what Shaedon can bring the team next season, though. And yeah, Cronin and Jody definitely are a problem, but they were a problem going into last year. I think maybe more people realize that Jody and Joe Cronin are problematic going into this year's offseason than they realized last year. Now, Joe Cronin has a chance to truly change my narrative about him this offseason. I think this offseason is a true litmus test for him. I think he's under as much pressure as any GM in the entire NBA, and we'll see if he can perform. If he has a good offseason, I will change my tune on him and I will give him props. If he struggles again, I think it will confirm what I'm already suspecting. In the next poll, I asked you guys if you were more or less excited for this year's playoffs with the Blazers not participating. 11% said more excited because it will be stress-free. 35% said they are indifferent, and 55% said they'll be less excited. I asked this poll question last year as well, and 16% of you said you were more excited. 51% of you said less excited, so pretty similar results. I'm pretty indifferent. I'm right there in the middle. Comments on this poll, we have two. One from Macabenta, who says, honestly, the minimum is top 4 next year. We're really not doing anything to help Dame. We need to move the needle big time. And I assume that means top 4 playoff seed next year. I don't think seeding matters as much as just having a team that can truly compete with the best teams in the league and has a chance at contending. If that's a 5 seed, 6 seed, but is competitive against the best teams in the league, I think it is fine. And shout Sam Dooley, who's also a channel member, says it's hard to get excited about the playoffs with no possibility of Dame time involved. And I feel that for sure. I wish Dame had a chance to build upon his 2 series winning buzzer beaters. I wish Dame got a chance to play in the playoffs this year. It sucks that he doesn't. In the next poll, I asked you guys, what was your favorite part from this season? 62% of you said it was Dame's 71-point performance. 14% of you said it was the 4-0 start. 13% of you said it was Sharp's late season surge, and 11% of you said it was that 6-game November road trip, which saw the Jeremy Grant buzzer beater, Josh Hart buzzer beater, and the shorthanded win against New Orleans. And for me, I would either have to choose the 4-0 start or that 6-game November road trip. Dame's 71-point performance was absolutely special. Seeing Shaedon Sharp develop into what he became late in the season was also truly special and a lot of fun. But the excitement to start this year when the Blazers looked like a contending team was so much fun for me. It was a first, really, in this channel's history. I think it was the only time we've ever been 6 games above 500 since I started the channel. And the excitement around streams, post-game streams, had a ton of people in them. It was so much fun. And I wanted to recapture that feeling and excitement in my season recap with stream highlights. I wanted that to be a reminder to people how much fun this channel can be when the Blazers are winning a bunch of games, and also how much fun the start of the season was, because I feel like we kind of forgot how much fun the 4-0 start was after things became so bleak and after this team started tanking. So I understand why a lot of people had Dame's 71-point performance, because that was real cool to see, but for me it was the start of the season. Now here are the comments on this poll. Madden Mobile says either the 71-point per game or the ceremony that Dame had after he broke the scoring record from his old teammates, showing how much of an impact he has made. That ceremony was pretty cool. I agree with that. Shout out Eli Hanna, who says, I spent the trade deadline with you guys, did my first donation asking how likely a GP2 trade was less than 5 minutes before it happened. And that just means you need to do a dono during the NBA draft asking how likely a Giannis trade is so that that can happen. Speak it into existence, Eli. And then shout out to Matthew Smith, who says 4-0 start. Sky was the limit for Portland then. Yeah, the optimism was fun and a bit of a change of pace. In poll question number 4, I asked you guys what your favorite Blazers Uprise event was this year. 69% of you said the stuff we did around the trade deadline, the insanity that went with that, the Josh Hart trade, KD trade, and then the trade deadline day stream with the Matisse Thybulle trade and the GP2 shenanigans. 16% of you said collabs with Suns Valley podcast. Shout out to them. Those were a lot of fun. Unfortunately, all 3 of those streams were in like the first 10 games of the year, but I included some highlights from those collabs in the seasonal recap video I dropped a couple days ago. It's always fun being able to hop on with Gabe, and it's always fun when the Blazers win a close game, because that's what they did a couple of times, an OT win and then the Jeremy Grant buzzer beater. 12% of you said the in-person watch parties. I know for people that actually showed up to those in-person watch parties that was probably their vote, because it seemed like a ton of people enjoyed those. It seemed like everybody who showed up had a good time. So next year when we throw more of those, hopefully the Blazers will be better. Hopefully we're able to see more of you out there. And then 4% of you said other. Comments for this poll. We had Chris Brandling, who says, I couldn't make the watch parties, living at the coast, but I think it's a cool idea. I just really appreciate the everyday deep discussions and lively streams. Great channel. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you. Shout out to Umar, who says, as a fan from outside Portland, the watch parties were hype. And yeah, I wish we could bring in all the people we have from across the country and honestly across the world to these watch parties. That would be a ton of fun. I know a lot of you are unable to go because you don't live in the Portland area, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed the atmosphere on the live in-person post-game streams. It's definitely a different feel. And then shout out to Sam Dooley, who says, can't beat the watch parties. If you know, you know. And Sam, I know you know, because it was good to meet you at those. Next poll we had, I asked you guys, was this season better or worse than last year? And 56% of you said it was better. We had some good moments and got better lottery odds. 34% of you said it was worse. We should have been better and we still sucked. And 10% of you said it was about the same. And this was a bit surprising to me, seeing the poll results earlier on the question where I asked if you guys felt better or worse about the Blazers' future after this season, because the results for that trended towards more pessimistic, but it seems like people think also that this past season was better than last season. So kind of interesting to compare the results for both those polls, but I do think it was better because for a tanking season, we got a better result. We didn't have to tank as much. We got to see Dame be Dame all season long. We got to see the ascension of Shaedon Sharpe. We didn't have these positives last year. We also had the start of the season, which was a lot of fun. Most fun I've ever had doing post-game shows in this channel's history. So we had a lot more good, fun moments last year than we did the season before. And I know that gets lost in the struggle of this team, but truly, last season wasn't bad for a tanking team that ended up with 5th best lottery odds. We had some decent moments. Just looking forward to hopefully more wins in the future, because that's always the most fun, but there were some good moments this year. And as far as comments for this poll, Edgar says, unless the pick lands in the top 3, we should package it in a trade for an all-star player like Siakam. It's more so about what he thinks we should do with the draft pick that we got good lotto odds on, but he thinks we should trade it for Siakam, which I guess would be cool. Maybe not the best fit, but you know, I'll take anybody of that caliber at this point, and I'm sure Dame would as well. And then the final poll, I asked you guys who you dislike more between Gary Payton II and Raymond Felton, and 73% of you said GP2 weeks. Only 27% of you said Raymond Felton. And we had a ton of comments on this. We actually had 10 comments. I'm not going to throw them all in there, but I will throw 4. Nate J. Dub says the Payton cut is fresh, but best believe we ain't forget Felton, which, yeah, I don't think Blazer fans will ever forget Raymond Felton. Kyle Vaughn says, these results have got to be recency bias or just younger fans not being around for Felton. And that definitely could play a role. I know a couple people said they looked into the Raymond Felton situation because they weren't Blazer fans or weren't really around then to see how that played out. Tupug says, we cut ties with GP2 pretty quickly. Felton got that check and gave zero effort in my opinion. I actually think that's backwards because we traded for Felton. We actually signed GP2. GP2 came here on a free agency deal to get that check and then gave less than zero effort because he didn't even play and decided to wait and wait and wait. And yeah, the GP2 situation was a mess. Honestly, my opinion is GP2 is worse than Felton if he was partly at fault for the BS grievance that the Golden State Warriors filed against the Portland Trail Blazers after making that trade, which they of course ultimately dropped. If GP2 lied or had some sort of fault in that, then he's worse than Felton in my opinion. And then Tired Eyes, the final comment says, forgive my ignorance, but what did GP2 do that was so bad? I don't really understand. Did he fake his injury? Legit question. I just didn't fully get the situation. And if you don't get the situation, you should go watch the video I dropped 2 days ago, the 2022 to 2023 season recap, as there is a large segment in that where Eric touches upon the GP2 situation. I think it's about halfway through the video, maybe 16 minutes in or so, but he touched upon some of the details that went down in the GP2 situation. So if you don't really understand why people dislike GP2, then I highly recommend you go watch that back. Eric explains it better than I ever could. That's gonna wrap up this episode of Blazers Pulse. Let me know what you think in regards to these poll questions down in the comment section below. Did any of the results surprise you? I always enjoy reading your comments to videos, and comments help me out. Likes help me out as well, so if you hit that like button, I greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We're only 23 subs away from 8,000. I want to get there so bad. So if you know friends that are Blazer fans that aren't subscribed, I mean, at this point, I'm willing to do whatever just to reach 8,000 subs. I really want to hit that number. That would be real cool to see. So if you subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that as well. With that being said, I'm out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.